I love it. It's like all the chakras, and I love your bedazzlement as well. Very queen-esque.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, welcome to Soul Sessions, everyone, live podcast. I am here with my magical friend, Dr. Daphne Clarke-Hudson. We are so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Queen. I am Queen Brittany. I'm so goddess, Brittany. I'm so excited to be here because we connected a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I came on your live and something told me to wait there. So I lingered and I realized we were kindred spirit, and here we are. The relationship has been evolving, and I can't wait to see all the things the universe has in store for us.
I agree. It was like kindred spirits when we met. I was like, I know you. Like from soul to soul. We got along great.
Yes. And that's why, every time that I have newcomers to my TikTok, I always ask them, put a blue heart so we recognize who you are. Don't ask me the reason I chose blue. And I say, tell me your first name. Because I get that like carve into who I am, and that's how I interact and relate to them. Because to me, Goddess, it's more than a follower and a connection. It's more of a connection. We have to connect the dots and see what we are called to do together, because it's not always the way we plan, but we have to be obedient to what is shown to us.
I absolutely agree with you. It's adding people. It's not just followers. It's like you're building a community of people together to like interact with, right? And like you said, that's why it's so important to follow what your spirit is saying and your intuition, because you really never know where it will lead. Like I didn't know that I was going to meet you like 2 or 3 months ago. And then we met.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. But you listened to your spirit and I listened to mine. And now we have this beautiful connection.
Exactly. So people need to, wherever they show up, not to be distracted about what's going on, because a lot of time there is so much turbulence going on in the life, and you have to shield yourself out. You have to guard your and your spirit, and don't get caught into everything. Isolate yourself, because if not, you will lose your blessing and your breakthrough because you were distracted.
I think that's beautiful advice. I tell people too, the people who you surround yourself with, it's so very important to take stock in who is in your inner circle, because they really dictate your reality outside of you. Do you have people that are supporting and uplifting you, or do you have people that want you to stay in comfortability, which, like you said, is a distraction?
Exactly. I have 3 circles. The people who are part of my community know. I have three circles in my life. I have the big, humongous circle. Everyone who comes in my life, that's where I house them. And then I have the middle circle. And then I have the 3rd circle inside, which is the tiny one. And as I evaluate each connection, they don't know that, but I am placing them in which circle they belong. So I'm not getting rid of anybody, but I will watch you keenly to see why you're in my life, why you show up, and which circle you're in. The inner circle, the tiny one, is the place for my confidant, my mentor, my spiritual advisors. those are the people that I'm completely vulnerable with. I don't have to filter. I go to them in all of my authenticity and all of my vulnerability. In other words, I'm naked before them. Why? Because they're not judging me. They're there to hold me accountable, not to enable me, but to help me to stretch.
Absolutely. They'll tell you like it is, but for your own growth and benefit.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Do you think that it's very important to use discernment with who you are vulnerable with? Like, we're not meant to, like, vulnerability is such a beautiful, beautiful thing, but who you're naked, like you said, and vulnerable with, that can really dictate, like, how your life turns.
Exactly. This is how I put it when I'm speaking with my clients. I say you never want to feed pigs with your china.
Oh,
Your china are for elite guests. And when we are vulnerable to those people that are going to judge us, that's exactly what we are doing. A pig is accustomed to be eaten from what we call a trough in Jamaica. I don't know what you call it in other parts of the world. Yeah, they are not accustomed to fine china and crystal. So your vulnerability is your fine china and your crystal. So why would you want to give it to a pig who is accustomed to be wallowing in the mud? They can't appreciate it. So you got to follow your sense of discernment. You don't need to be a light worker. You don't have to be a spiritual worker and all of the titles. We all have it, but why? We are ignoring it and pay more attention to what others have to say other than what our inner clock is telling us. We need to pay attention. If your spirit tell you it's wrong, trust me, it's wrong. Because every time you disobey, you're coming back to say, man, I wish I didn't.
Oh, absolutely.
So discernment is so vital and very, very important.
I think that's a beautiful lesson, and I'll share a little story with you. So the other day, I had, like, my body was telling me not to go somewhere and go do something. And I said, oh, it's just my anxiety, right? But there was something about this situation that my body was going into fight or flight. And it was like, you don't need to go do that, right? And I was trying to bypass that. And I said, you know what? I am not going to do it. I'm just not going to go, right? And I realized that that was my body trying to, keep me safe. And it doesn't matter what the thing was. It doesn't matter what the reason was. I don't need to know.
It's your obedience. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I have been through so many situations where I have ignored that or bypassed it, and then it didn't end up well for me. And I thought, you know what? I wish I would have listened to my intuition. And so this time I said, I don't need to know. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to experience that. Right.
Let me tell you, Goddess, for every time that I try to fit a square peg in a round hole, I get kicked in the butt, which is what we do when we disobey our intuition. We are fitting a square peg in a round hole, and it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter how you try file it down. It ain't going to fit in there. And when we disobey our sense of discernment and our intuition, that's what is happening. And that's why the universe said, Pops, I told you. The sad thing is that many people refuse to learn the lesson. But the universe is so patient with us. As hard-headed as we get, and trust me, I am one for hard-headed. I've been later on, you all will hear how long I was hard-headed for. But I got a walk. And after the second awakening, I said, I ain't going back to this place. I got to do what I'm called to do.
I love that. It took me hundreds of times, but I finally realized I don't want to experience that anymore. I just want to go with whatever my body and spirit is saying, and that's all I need. That's it.
Yeah. And the other thing I found out, once we become obedient and we say yes, we got to cut some people loose. Some of the baggages we held on to for a long time, we got to cut them loose. And when you begin to cut them loose, they try to send you on a guilt trip. But you got to honor who you are called, and you got to say, you ain't the boss of me. No more. So don't allow folks to send you on a guilt trip and hold things over your head. You know, oh, you used to do this, we used to do that, and the list goes on and on. Hey, that's the old me. That's not me anymore.
I have learned that lesson too, that just because you have spent a lot of time and energy in someone doesn't always mean that that relationship has to continue. Like, you have to ask yourself, is this person moving me forward? That's really the only question. That is the only question. And that's not saying you can just drop family members, obviously, like, use your discernment. But you have to, we can get into that too, but you have to say, is this person helping me push forward? If not, then it needs to be a reassessment or moving them out to those outer circles, like we talked about, spending less time and energy.
That's exactly. I say, weigh your pros and cons. And when it comes to our darling family members, you know, Thanksgiving time, all this stuff hit the fan. So I tell my folks, I say, listen, always go with a Tupperware container and take your dessert to go. Because during the meal, during the full course meal, everybody's mouth is filled. And a lot of crap is not going up. But you see, once dessert, in between dessert, fixing and serving, that's when a lot of stuff hit the fan. So listen, when they put in the dessert, you open your container and you put yours in there. You help them to serve the dessert to everybody else. Like, listen, I got to run, guys. I took my dessert to go. I'll talk to you guys soon. You're out of there. You're not part of the drama.
I love that. I recently went to an event where I was around a group of people that I don't see very often. And I said, you know what? If it's not resonating with me, I can leave at any time. Like, in the past, I would have let guilt hold me there. Like, oh, it's not the right thing or the societal thing or the family thing to, like, be there for a long time. And I said, you know what? When my spirit says it's time to go, it's time to go. And that's what's best for me.
To go. You know, the sad thing is that we always guide our children on the company they keep and who they allow to be in their inner circle. Yet we as adults oftentimes forget those things. You know, we forget those things. And we need to take a lot of the lessons that we are telling our children. And we need to go by those same guidelines as well.
I think that's a beautiful message. I tell my clients a lot too sometimes, what would you say to a young child? Like, if you can't figure out what to say to yourself, what would you say to a child that's in the care of you? Because you'll break it down in a way that they can understand, and from a protective space, a loving space, right? And so then you can hear that back to yourself. Yes. And speaking of clients, So you are a intuitive business coach and a
Yes.
spiritual healer. And I wanted to ask you, what kind of services do you offer and how did you get started in that business?
Okay. I came from way back. I'm going to go way back.
Sure.
I started off this journey as a nurse in Jamaica. But even when I was a nurse, I did it differently. I was not very obedient to my spiritual gifting, even though I knew from the age of 12 that I was intuitive. Because of my involvement in the church, I never openly honor it. And later on, I'm going to say when I came out the closet. However, as a nurse, I always focus on having conversation, deep conversation with my patients. If I was off, I wanted to know what happened with them when I was off. If I went on the night shift or the evening shift, I want to know what happened on the other shifts when I wasn't there. So much so that my co-workers always say, Clarke-Hudson, why do you have to talk to everybody? It's taking us 45 minutes to do the meds. It's taking you over 2 hours because you have to sit and have a conversation with everybody. My answer always was, I don't know. I just have to talk to them. I left nursing and went to the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. In Jamaica, you can get secondment from one government job to another. The cultural development allowed me to identify individuals' skills and talents and help them to polish that up. So if they were cook, if they were artists, if they crochet, whatever their skills were, I would help them to polish that. And during the summer in August, we would have a big festival where everybody's rear and tear would be shown. And they would win prizes and stuff for that. Still doing that with people, not understanding anything about coaching or anything like that. So then I moved to the USA in 1985, still working in the nursing field. I was doing assisted living then and studying to do my New York State Board for nursing. It was during that time that I met a woman on the subway who introduced me to Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Okay.
So when I went into Mary Kay Cosmetics, it was a whole change for me.
Yeah.
Free makeup, traveling, free car, minks and diamonds. I said, oh my God, you're talking to a country girl from Jamaica who grew up with one pair of shoes to wear to church, and now you're telling her she can get a free car and all those glitz and glamour, traveling to Texas for big conferences. Little did I know I was brought into that to groom women too. So quickly, the first free car, it took you 90 days to win it. I told the director of the unit that I was in, I asked her, how many people want a car in your unit? And she said, nobody yet. I said, good, I'm going to be the first person.
Okay.
Just tell me what to do. And of course, you know, folks rolling their eyes. She just come here. Why she thinks she's going to win car? Well, 90 days I won my car. I was the first one in her unit. I was the first one to become her director. And I was the first one to win the pink Buick in her unit because I became her first offspring director.
Oh,
and I
amazing.
realized, oh my God, I am building people.
Mm-hmm.
I got excited. I'm having a good life, free cosmetics, travel, making good money, and changing people's lives. And then a devastation hit my unit. In Mary Kay, like I think in most sales business, if you are not producing, then you go down. So
Mm-hmm.
I was not meeting production. So now we got to the stage. I can still drive the pink car, but I would have to come out my pocket to pay the lease every month.
Mm-hmm.
And I got accustomed to be driving it without paying. And I said, I'm not going to do that. So then there was another company out of Atlanta, Georgia, that was making knockoff perfume called Centora Creation. And they put a good game out. I fell into trap with them, went into the company. They say after 90 days, whatever you have sold will be split between you and the company whose office you're working out of. Well, that was a big lie because the owner of that office in Hicksville, New York,
Mm-hmm.
realized that I had the skills to train and empower people. And he manipulated and used that skill. And when I moved to Connecticut, the money that should have been in escrow to have me start my perfume business wasn't there. And then it was devastating because at the time I had a 9-year-old kid and a single parent. And I was trying so much for the perfume business to work. And it just wasn't working. And the guy that I was going to open the perfume business with, he said, you know something? I'm going back to New York because my sister is willing to take me in because I don't think we're going to make this business. And I said, I'm not going back to New York. I'm going to remain in Connecticut and do what it is I have to do. And that was the time when I hired my first coach. I learned about working with a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to John. I had hired him for 3 months. And while I was sitting in John's chair, he was writing, I don't know if you know the yellow legal pad. You're probably
Yep.
too young to
No,
know
I know.
that. Okay. And he was writing away, Goddess. I was so excited because I said, ooh, he's going to be able to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And 15 minutes in the conversation, he said, why aren't you doing what I do? I said, John, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
He said, you see, all that I have on this paper is what I learned from you since we began talking,
Oh, wow.
which I am going to use with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you are a natural at this. He said, I'm not going to give you your money back, but what I'm willing to do is to allow you to use me as a sounding board for the 3 months that you hired me for.
Yeah.
And he said that. I left there pondering. I noticed a weekend retreat was advertised with a woman called Iris Randall. She used to be a consultant with the disc. I don't know if you know about the disc. It is similar to the Myers-Briggs. You know about
Oh,
Myers-Briggs?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the disc was another instrument that was created by Cultivating Learning Institute. So I went to Iris's retreat for the 3 days, and when I did the disc, it says that I was a motivator. But Doubtful Thomas in me, I said to Iris, I don't think I filled out the questionnaire good. Can I please order the one that is generated through the computer? And she said, it's $200 for that. I said, okay. I paid for it. So in 2 weeks when I got that back, I flipped through and went to the back to see what the summary said, Goddess. The summary said I was a motivator. Yeah. So you can't run from yourself. Everywhere you go, you are there with yourself. Whether you run fast or slow, you are there with you. Still Doubtful Thomas, I continue exploring and reading. And after that evaluation with the Cultivating instrument disc, I was bold enough to get my business name and registration. And I became certified with the Cultivating Learning Institute to use those instruments in my practice to help other people, right? And only doing on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, when I wasn't working my regular job, I was doing my business.
You got to start where you can.
Huh?
I said you got to start where you can.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I started doing that. People, I was coming in and I was telling folks these things. They were doing these things and their life was changing, and everybody was telling everybody, oh, they went to my workshop and what happened. I wasn't uttering a word telling people that my intuition was telling me everything. And sometimes they would say, but I didn't tell you that. How did you know? I said, don't worry about it. If it is true, it is true. You don't have to worry about how I know. Is it true? And they say, yes. And I kept on doing, kept on suppressing my gifting, kept on suppressing. I was doing retreats. And then that job that I started my business part-time, when the federal government changed, because my position was grant funded, and the new government came in and wanted to employ their people, I had to transition in my business full time. Still suppressing my gifting. I was working in the church. I was in drama, choir, greeter, teaching small group, everything. I just was not saying I was intuitive because it was not politically correct.
Right.
In the religious arena. Fast forward to 2013, I got ill and went into the hospital with a small intestines obstruction. And while I was recovering from the surgery in the hospital, I felt like somebody shook my body in the middle of the night. I jumped up and looked around. I thought it was the nurse, but it was not. I dozed back off. I got a vision that when you get out of here, you need to honor all of who you're called to be. I came out, still stayed in the closet.
Do you feel like it was the Holy Spirit trying to tell you like it's time?
I was still fighting it. Why? Because it wasn't politically correct religiously. Okay? And I came out of the closet a little bit, but not much. I just ajarred the closet door. One morning I woke up, I felt so lethargic. I was sitting on the edge of my bed. I did not have the energy to even go to the bathroom to pee. I was sitting there with my hand like this. I don't know how long I was sitting there, but then I heard these words, "Get that monkey off your back." A surge of energy, goddess, went through me. And then I heard, "Get your tablet." I used to have my iPod. I don't know if you are familiar with the platform called Periscope. So I grabbed my iPod and I type in the subject, "Get this monkey off your back." And the tears started running down my face, but the energy was going through me, going all through me. And I was broadcasting about, "Get this monkey off your back." And something said to me, "Go outside." I can feel my body going outside, opening the door, going out on the lawn, and I'm still broadcasting. And later in the broadcast, I feel the lids of my eyes open. I wipe my tears and I look on the screen of my iPod. I saw these words, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Sean. I'm listening to you from Orlando, Florida. The monkey on my back has been on my back for 5.5 years. I'm struggling with methadone. This is my first time hearing you this morning. And based on what you spoke about, I am now going to get help. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Goddess, I dropped the iPod on the grass. I held up my hand to the sky and I said, "God, never in my life I'm going to doubt you anymore. I'm going to do what I'm called to do." And I start crying again.
And you probably saved his life.
Huh?
Like, I said, you probably saved his life. Like,
exactly.
To speak with you. Yeah, because you took that leap. Yeah.
He said he was just scrolling through and was stopped on my Periscope broadcast. Listen, after that experience, I opened the door a little bit, but doubtful me, I was still in my church doing what I'm supposed to do. And I remember having a conversation with my mentor, a gentleman who ended up being my mentor and coach later on, Dr. Miles Monroe. And I was telling him everything that's going on in my life. And he said, "You can't keep running from who you're called to be. You got to be who you're called to be." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because you're not honoring your calling and your purpose." I said, "Dr. Miles, what does that mean?" He said, "Listen, I need you to get my book, In Pursuit of Purpose." I bought that little book, Goddess, and it changed my life. That's when I realized what I was called to be and how long. For 62 years, Goddess, 62 years up to when I accepted divine assignment, I suppressed it. 62 years. 62 years. And although I didn't come out the closet, still I was speaking out little by little, little by little. In 2019, the year before the pandemic, I went back to the hospital. this time with a stroke.
Wow.
And the neurologist who evaluated me the night when I went in, he said, I'll come back tomorrow morning. When he came back tomorrow morning, Goddess, I didn't have any signs of the stroke. I was speaking. When he greeted me, I greeted him like a normal person. He said, hold on. Who is this? He says. I said, it's me, Daphne. He said, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
He looked on my chart to make sure my name was the right name. He came because I was in a training hospital with medical students. He came to because he wanted to teach them about my diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
He turned to them and said how I was the day before and how I was now. There's nothing to teach him. And he said, his name is Dr. Hibibi. And he said to me, I can't believe as your neurologist, I'm going to say this to you. But what I am looking at and what everybody's seeing is a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So what you told me you did yesterday, and I repeat, I'm a speaker and coach and all of that, because I wasn't out the closet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I can't believe I'm going to tell you, but go out and do more of that because you are a miracle. I am going to send this speech therapist to evaluate you. You can call whoever is going to take you home because you will be discharged today. The speech therapist came, he evaluated me, and he said, you can go home today. We are going to send you to outpatients for therapy. I went to the speech therapist the Monday after I was discharged, and she evaluated me. She said, you need to come 90 days, 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
When I was leaving the rehabilitation center, they gave me 3 appointments. I was there Monday, then Wednesday and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I had an attitude because I said, if I'm going to have to come for 90 days, why they gave me on the 3? Anyway, I went home, came back Wednesday. The therapist says to me, Mrs. Hudson, do not make any appointment today. Wait until Friday when you come back. I said, okay. I'm still thinking 90 days, you know, and only one more appointment. So Friday when I went back, she said to me, listen, I need to do all the evaluations I did on Friday. On Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I need to repeat them. She did them and she looked excited. She said to me, I need to do one more thing that we did not do Monday. I want to create a restaurant scene on my laptop, and I want you and I to dine in the restaurant and have a conversation like we in the restaurant. I said, okay. We did that, Goddess, and she closed the computer down and she sat up in her chair. She said, Mrs. Hudson, you do not have to come back, because if I had met you on the street, I would not have known you had a stroke. Go out there, continue speaking. Sometimes if you find a word that is going to be challenging for you to say, continue your enunciation. But you don't have any problem. Go out there and keep speaking, keep speaking, keep speaking. That was the time when I tore the door off the closet and I said, no more. I am not going back in the hospital again. I got the message. And once I said yes and tore the door off the closet and stepped out unapologetically, woman who was part of my Periscope community. She called me one day. She said, Dr. Daphne, you need to be on TikTok. I said, Tik what? She said, TikTok. I said, what's that? She said, oh, it's like Periscope. You remember how you used to be on Periscope? It's like Periscope. The only thing, you can't do the long broadcast. You have to do 5 second and 60 second. I said, okay, tell me what I have to do, because she said that since I'm in her life, I have made a difference between for her and her family, and the people on TikTok need me. I said, tell me what I need to do. She said, you can start with the 5 seconds and 15 seconds and 6 seconds, whatever. And you have to get 1,000 people before you can go live. I said, okay. So I start working on my 60-second video and stuff like that, gratitude stuff. I'm doing them. 2.5 days, Ramona called me. She said, Dr. Daphne, did you look on your TikTok? I said, no. You told me that I need 1,000 people. I can do the short things. That's what I'm doing. She said, well, you can go live on Thursday. I said, Ramona, how am I going to go live? You told me I need 1,000 people. She said, well, you have more than 1,000 people.
Wow, okay.
I went on live the Thursday. She was talking to me on the Wednesday. Went on live the Thursday. I prepare a talk call in pursuit of purpose. No, the purpose of vision. Okay. That was what my talk with. That first live I stayed on TikTok about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. I told the people I'm going to be back next Thursday at 8 o'clock. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to come with something. And we bid goodbye. When I clicked the end, the Spirit said to me, no, you're not going to teach anything when you go next week. You're going to turn up. The people are going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer their question.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
By the time I was ready to go live, I was almost at 10,000 people that second week.
Wow.
And that's what brought me here now. Then the Spirit gave me back in September. The Spirit gave me a new divine assignment and had me relocate because my work in Connecticut was completed. That's what the universe told me. And I now need to be at a different place. I said yes to that divine assignment. And since September, I have been in training. There was one morning right here on my live, Queen Sonia right there, who is my one of my moderators. I don't know why you are not tapping the screen to invite people in here, but she was there one morning when the universe sit me down and tell me, trust the process, be patient, because I was getting in my feelings, because things wasn't going as fast as Daphne wants it to go. And the Spirit told me, it's not about me. The other thing I started doing was doing readings on my live. And I had to be filtering because I couldn't give people the real message because it was so sensitive. Spirit closed me down and said, no, you are meant to see people in private because it is not your authority to filter what you are getting to give them. The only way they can heed, you got to give them all of what? And people come in my life and say, but why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And they don't understand that I don't answer to them. I am in training through the universe. And although it is hard for me to be patient and to sit down, unless I sit down and do what I'm going to be able to do, it's going to be a mess. So I don't know who can relate to what I'm saying. So regardless of where you are, I'm here to tell you there's hopes. If the universe give me a second chance after 62 years of suppression, he will do it for you as well. And that's part of how I got here, Queen Goddess, because you are part of that training too. Little did I know when we came into connection, what part of the puzzle you fit in. And I'm just so grateful because you are the sister that I never had. And I just want to honor you and thank you for your willingness to share and to be so open with everything. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Daphne. You're so incredibly sweet. I just love your soul, like your being, like your essence, just so much. Like, you're incredible. And you are like this beautiful empowerer and motivator and this strong, like, goddess energy. And I was going to ask you, like, when you were with the beauty company, do you think that you were so incredibly successful because you listen? Like, I think that is a lost art, is just listening to people, like, with your whole heart. They really need that.
Yes. You are so right, Goddess, because, you know, for every time that I do an intake, people are always pausing in between to say, oh, Dr. Daphne, you hear me? I said, remember, I tell you, just continue talking. If I need to disturb you, I will interject. But in listening with intent is one of my superpowers, because we cannot connect unless we listen with intent. Because when you listen with intent, you are supposed to relate what the person said to you exactly the way they said it.
And when you're listening, go ahead.
we as light workers and healer or coaches or mentor or whatever, it ain't about us. So we got to know to move ourselves out of the equation and be present with whomever we are working with. Because a lot of people, you know, they get so confused with what's going on around the environment, and they want to be like John, they want to be like Mary. Everybody forgot about their authenticity. And listen, all of us, the hips we come with, the lips we come with, the boobs we come with, that was designed for us. Ain't nobody else could wear it the way we wear it. So we need to show up in all of our true authenticity. At one time, Goddess, I had trust issues. I had issue working with independent contractor because I thought they were going to steal my content to give to their other client. And the universe said to me, ain't nobody can do you.
Yes, I love that.
Nobody can do you. So just focus on being you. And I'm so glad I'm out the closet now. I ain't going back.
I I love it. I love it. And that's something that we wanted to speak on is authenticity. And it sounds like you have had so many life experiences of stepping into like being authentically you. And so you have all these years of wisdom. And so I was going to ask, do you have any advice for those who are maybe just starting on that journey or learning how to take those masks off and be vulnerable with people and like be who they really are at a soul level? What advice do you have for them?
I'm going to go back to the sense of discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Our purpose and our calling is tied into those things that rubs you the wrong way. Are you walking on the street? You'll be driving your car or walking and you see a piece of paper, you pull over to pick up the piece of paper. It's a reason why you do that. It is tied into who you are. Mm-hmm. So follow your sense of discernment, follow your intuition, and journal. Write all of your ideas and thoughts in there. Stop looking at what other people are doing, because the truth is it has nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. The reason we are not able to get clarity is because we are not removing from our hearts and our heads and put them into our journal. Once we do that, we make room for more creativity. Mm-hmm. Ask yourself, what makes me special? What triggers me in positive way and negative way? Because even the negative triggers has something to do with our positive outcome. Mm-hmm. I am not saying not to learn from others, but don't become a clone of who they are. What are you about? What are your values and your morals? What light can you shed on somebody else? What do you bring to the table? Mm-hmm. Once we do that, we are going to be able to concentrate on who we are called to be. I tell you something, Queen, about the A New Day TV show. Years ago, 20-something years ago, I got a vision to start the show, and I think about, how am I going to start TV show? I didn't go to journalism school. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I called up the cable station, went and inquired about doing the show, and they told me what I need to do. I have to train my own crew and everything. Mm-hmm. I clearly got these instructions. When you start the show, do not script the show. Show up with a clipboard and some paper and a pen to write on. I did not listen. I got me a white 3-ring binder. I type in bold lettering, A New Day TV show. A New Day, your guide to personal empowerment, and I put it in the cover. Mm-hmm. And I show up on the set, and I remember Richard Merritt. He's in heaven now, but he counting. And I know they said live, and I opened the binder, Goddess. I couldn't see one thing on the binder.
Okay.
Nothing I couldn't see. And the Spirit said to me, close the binder. Okay. Because remember, I was told about not scripting.
Yeah, it was almost like your coach that you had that just showed up with a piece of paper and a pen.
Exactly. Yeah. And I closed it, and immediately my mouth began opening like a faucet. Okay. Things was just coming out. Things was just coming out. And until this day, that's how I do my broadcast, because whatever my listeners need to hear, the universe gives me the download. Every day I go live on TikTok, the universe tells me what to speak on. It never fails. There's always somebody saying, I needed to be here. This was meant for me. So we just have to honor who we are, know who we are, not who somebody else tell us we need to be. Know who we are. Why are we here? And honor that. And once we do that and get the guidance in mentoring and coaching, because we cannot do it alone. Once you start working in your why and calling, it is so lonely. Because all of those people that we used to hang around with, now they want to know, hey, what she thinks she is, who she thinks she is. But you have to know to honor all of who you're called to be, unapologetically. And you know what? Be bold about it. Be bold and unapologetic. And do the work. We all got stuff we have to heal about. Do the work and you will be all right.
Absolutely. I feel like when I was creating content, I would try and script a lot of things and be very posed, and that wasn't resonating with people. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stop having like these scripts or like preparing and just speak from my heart and from my own personal experiences. And I found that the universe always brings you people that need to hear exactly what you have to say from you. It doesn't matter what the subject is. It's like you said, it aligns you with people that need to hear that message from you that day.
Exactly.
Whatever it is.
Exactly, Queen. Exactly.
Let me ask you a question, Daphne. Do you think that being authentic helps you find your purpose? What you're meant to be doing here?
Yes, being authentic helps you to honor your purpose. The other thing I want to tell people, I hear a lot of people and even some teachers teaching about finding your purpose. Our purpose is never lost. We are the ones that are straying from it. However, not unless we accept being authentic and unique, we are not going to be able to honor our purpose. Why? Because we are always trying to be somebody else. Oh, my stuff doesn't look like Brittany on. My stuff doesn't look like Sonia. Oh, let me go try that. It ain't going to look like hers because that's not what you called for. Later down the road, the universe will probably see that you both need to collaborate and it will happen. But there is no purpose and calling without authenticity. There is no uniqueness without being authentic. And there is no authenticity without vulnerability. Everything ties in together.
Absolutely. I tell people you can have multiple purposes.
Oh, of course.
You can find purpose in anything that you do at any stage, but if you are not meeting that with authenticity, it will not feel like your purpose.
Exactly. And once we begin, in Jamaica, they say the higher the monkey climb, the more he exposed. What that means, the more advanced you get into what you're supposed to do, you get another dimension of what you're supposed to do. That's why I tell folks, don't sit around and wait for it to be perfect. Start. Because where you're starting is not where you're going to end up. But if you never start, you never experience the beginning.
Absolutely. I think that goes back to like comparison, like you were talking about. So I, in my life, have been a huge perfectionist, but that goes back to self-love, because I was like, I don't want anybody to see me as like an imposter, like I don't know what I'm talking about, but it was holding me back from cultivating like my vision and finding my purpose. Like, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to not know. And like, those things are okay.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know anything. The person that knows everything is the person who is dead. Because so long as we are breathing, there's always something new to learn. If you turn up and somebody said they know it all, you better start running. Because ain't nobody know everything.
I love it. I love it. So while we're talking about purpose and authenticity, if you have a vision, I wanted to talk about cultivating your vision. Like, how do you know what you should work towards if you're not sure what your purpose is yet? And I think you touched on that a little bit with just start somewhere. Just follow what your heart is telling you. Like, this could make you really happy if you go this direction. How would you teach people to cultivate their vision?
Take your eye off of yourself. Once you identify what that purpose is, you ask yourself the question, how is it going to impact the life of others? Because the bottom line is about others. What are we willing to do for others? How is it going to impact their life? So, if you notice you are leaning towards a vision that is only about you, all right, how much money can I make? Well, beep, beep, wrong. How many lives can I touch today? Where are those lives? Who are they? How my life experience is tied into this vision that I'm getting. You know, they say make your mess your message.
Okay, I've never heard that before. I love that.
Yes.
Okay.
For many people, your mess is your message. There is a reason you have gone through what you went through. That abuse, that molestation, that addiction. There are many more people out there who are going through that. Be vulnerable in sharing. And as you help them to heal, you realize, oh my goodness, this is, oh, so many people are attracted to me. That's the same reason why so many people go to professional career schools and they get graduated and never work a day in those business. Because once they begin to open and say yes, they begin to look in that manual. Because when we were born, we are all handed with that manual that has the inner blueprint for everything that we are supposed to do. But we are so confused because we are focusing on others. You need to keep looking at that person in the mirror. Have conversation. And I always tell people to jot everything down and go back and read them. You don't necessarily have to be correct with grammar and punctuation. Just do speed writing. Everything that's flowing to you, just do speed writing. And that is going to help you to become more clarified with what you are supposed to do. Our purpose is not far. As I've said before, it's not lost. It is right here. It is so close to us. We just have to open our mouths and our hearts and say yes. And pay attention to the messages. Some people, Goddess, get visions and dreams. But because they are not documenting and journaling, those things just like go by the wayside. But we need to pay attention to our life in totality. Every aspect of our life is meant to collaborate and to coordinate. The other thing you need to tell yourself, every decision you make as an individual will always be the correct one. So do not give your power away to others. Trust your heart, because your heart is your authentic place. So trust it. Go with your intuition. Another word for your intuition is your gut feeling. Go with it, honor it, and respect it.
Queen, I had somebody that asked a question for you. They asked, what do we do with the journal after we write the things in it? So they've written all their ideas, all their dreams, all their visions. What do they do then?
Move on to the next journal. I tell you, every book that I've written, a chapter or some part of that book is always out of my journal. You write and you go back and read. And sometimes we will see repeat entry in the other journals. I wish I was at my office, but I'm not settled yet. I have so many journals. You date that journal when you start it and when you end it and move to the next one. You're going to find out that you become more creative. And you look and see what is repeating. Then you get another journal and you write it on the page, you draw a line down the middle, and you write the pros and the cons. One side is pro and on the other side is con. And you go through those things and you put numbers. Number one, what on the list from your journal entry, what you can put as number one. Number one means it is high on your list. That would go under the pro, right? And then something might be number 5 that go over the other line. So then you go through, highlight and list all of the ones, list all the numbers, and see what ties into each other. And then you're gonna get help to brainstorm on how to prioritize. Because you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So although you did those writings and you prioritize them, you need guidance to guide you where you need to go. You are not discarding any of those materials, but you are going to be able to use some before you use the other.
That's beautiful. I have, so I read this book by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's called Big Magic. And she talks about ideas and creation. And she said ideas have their own consciousness form. So we're pulling from like universal source, and universe is trying to find the best person or people that are going to bring this idea and birth this idea and bring it into fruition, right? And if you do not act on that idea, it will leave your mindscape and go to the next person, right? And I could give some examples, but we don't have to get into that. But with that, your thoughts, like you were saying, have energy. Like they take up energy in your mindscape. And if you are filled up and you're not actually putting it outside of you, you don't have room for new things. And I think what you're saying with the journals too is that when you write those things down and you continuously write them, one, you're giving them life because you're taking them outside of you. And then you're building on top of them. And you're seeing where things are repeating. And now you're actively brainstorming, how can I bring this into fruition? And you can see the patterns.
You know, I don't know if you have ever encountered anybody who universe gave an idea and they sat on it, they didn't do anything with it. And the universe gave me the idea. I got excited about it, and I do something with it. And all of a sudden, they mad at the person who act on their idea, and guess what? Oh, they steal my idea because I told them about it. You need to act on what the universe gives you. Act on it. Stop sitting around complaining about what is going to be they're stealing from you.
Absolutely. Do you know who Nikolai Tesla is?
Who?
Nikolai Tesla.
No.
So he was real big into like inventions, and he helped with like electricity. There's like a lot of things that he did, but he had a vision to create the radio. And he started getting into it, right? And on the other side of the world, there was another gentleman who also got the idea for the radio. And this is before cell phones and any way for them to like contact one another like that, right? And so Nikolai Tesla put it on the back burner, and the other gentleman published it, and then he was the creator of the radio. And if you look at Nikolai Tesla's paper, though, he had the idea first. His blueprints date pre that person, but that person brought it into fruition, like acted on that.
Yes. That's perfect. I have to go look that up. Yeah, exactly. That is it. So we need to act on stuff. Stop putting stuff down. I just act on it, you know?
Yeah. You gotta want it sometimes too.
Action. Action. Yes. You know, decision and action. Decision, action. Decision, action.
And like you said, your decisions aren't wrong. Like, life is just experience. Like, I think a lot of people get so stuck in like, is this going to be right? Is this going to be wrong? But you get stuck in this not doing anything because you're so afraid. And it's no wrong decisions. It's just life and experience.
Everyone, it's paralysis. You know, it paralyzes you. Indecision is a state of paralysis. So you got to act. Do what you have to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. You know, one morning I was sharing the Richard Branson story. I don't know how many people know that Sir Richard Branson dropped out of school with dyslexia at age 16. Now he's a multi-billionaire. I know people who consult with him, and it's $20,000+ they have to go pay for one of his intensive. I was sharing in the research with my folks that how he came to own Virgin Airlines. And he shared this story that he was going to the Virgin Islands to meet a girl, and the flight was canceled, and he wanted to go. So he chartered a plane, not realizing he didn't have enough money to pay for the chartered plane. So what he did, he wrote a sign, Virgin Islands, $29. So all the people that was on the flight that was canceled paid the $29, and he got enough money to pay for the flight to go to the Virgin Islands, and everybody get there. The rest is history. Y'all can look up Sir Richard Branson.
Wow, I am definitely going to look up that story. I'm a big Richard Branson fan, and I hadn't heard that before, so I'm definitely going to look that up. So another thing that I wanted to ask you about is, why is it so important to lift up others, to empower other people?
We are not experiencing success until we are excited and happy for others, because our successes is tied into each other's success. Selfishness, meanness, and jealousy gets you nowhere. When I'm excited and I can lift others up, the universe allows me to draw from my universal bank account, because for every accolade that I give somebody else, I am indirectly depositing in my universal bank account. And what happened? Those deposits yield dividends. So the more I lift others up, the higher my dividends is going to be. And on those dividends, our ancestors also, they are proud about the way God is doing. They're proud about the way Sonia doing. They are proud about. So when we think the interest and dividends are on the yield from our deposit, we realize that great grandma and the other people, they deposit too. So when we think we only have thousands, we are actually billionaires. So don't be jealous about anybody else. Get excited because you know your success. Put your happy dance on. You know, dance for them. When you hear that somebody say, yeah, I'm dancing for Sonia. I'm dancing for Deborah. Because the universe is depositing for you. It's for you to go and draw from your bank account.
I love that. I used to get tings of jealousy from people or experiences that like I felt like I didn't have in my life, and it was just, it draws so much negative energy from you. And I heard somebody one day say you should send that person blessings. Like that's great for that person. Like that's wonderful that that person is experiencing that. Like I am happy for them because I know that's going to happen for me too. Like, and I'm excited that I get to see that outside of myself, right? As a reminder. And like it just puts you in this positive, like fun, creative vibration.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. You know how often I see people share on the internet. They're not even part of my community. But I take the time to say congratulations to them.
Yes.
Because they put it out there. And I say, woo, you know, thank you, congratulations. Because I am depositing my bank account. And you need to do the same thing too. Look on it as a deposit in your account.
Yes. Goddess, let me ask you a question. Rachel said, I have to leave, but I have to make dinner, and I'm making dinner. Love and light. Love and light to you too. We are glad to have you here. Yes.
Yes, so we
Goddess, I have a question for you. Do you feel like sometimes people have a issue with receiving empowerment? Because I have for a long time, I did not want to receive compliments. Like I would hear them, but I would not receive them into my heart space. I would not want the empowerment and the encouragement. I would say, who are you talking to? That's not me. And my guides told me that manifestation, half of manifestation is receiving. You have to be in receiving mode.
And part of that has to do with imposter syndrome, because you're thinking you're not deserving of it. And I used to have issue with receiving. I'm always giving. And I had issue accepting. And one lady put me in my place one day. She said to me, let me tell you something. You're going to stop. So you need to stop blocking my blessing. I said, what do you mean? She said, every time I offer you something, you say no. You are blocking my blessing. And it was such an eye-opener for me, and I learned that lesson. So now I receive. I don't have any issue. I don't have any issues asking for help when I need it. So we just have to be willing to know that, yes, and we can go back in our life to find out when and where did this first start. Why do we think we are not deserving? and heal from that place so that now you are able to receive and to be excited about receiving.
Mm-hmm. I had made a commitment with my guides, and I said, okay, anytime somebody, and use your discernment when I say this, right? Anytime someone wants to give me a gift or compliments or money, just anything, I'm going to say yes. And when I did that, my blessings like just started like pouring in, and then it put me in wanting to bless other people. Because now I'm receiving more blessings. Let me bless more people. Let me give them compliments. They're giving me compliments. And you get in that receiving mode, in that vortex of manifestation. But it really is about letting people give you blessings, like you said. And it's a gift we're giving other people by letting them bless us.
Exactly. And it was a lesson when that lady shut me up and said, don't stop her blessing, because had she not done that, I would probably be still in that place, because she was not the first person I refused to accept something from. But she was the only one who loved me enough to teach me that lesson. And I'm so grateful that she took the time to teach me the lesson.
That's a representation of an inner circle person that we talked about. Somebody that's going to tell you like enough. It is to help you. Yes. Yes. Okay, Queen, I know that we are getting close to time here, so I wanted to make sure and give you space so you could tell people all of the wonderful things that you offer and where everyone can find you.
All right, guys. As I always say, I'm Googleicious. I'm Daphne Clarke-Hudson, DAPHNE CLARKE-HUDSON. Type that in Google, you'll find me. My website is daphneclarke.com. Please sign up there for my newsletter. On my TikTok bio, click on my link tree. It will take you to all of the places, my LinkedIn, my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, everywhere. I want to have you as part of my community. If you are interested in a service that you don't see me listed there, message me. My phone number is also there. It is 203-885-5093. Just check it out, reach out to me. All my readings and consultations are done in privacy. I am working on 2 additional services right now that I will be adding later on. I just need to complete the details around those. Also, there are different merchandise that the universe is showing me that I need to be working on and make them available for others. So I'm excited about being still and doing what the universe instruct me to do. And I can raise my both hands. I am not questioning, I'm just obeying.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Goddess.
Yeah, and I am live on here Mondays through Saturdays. And Queen, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. I just appreciate you.
I am so honored that you came on to speak with me and everyone today. You're such, like I said, like a beautiful soul. I wanted everybody to experience you. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
Queen.
I hope you have a wonderful evening, and say hey to Toby for me.
I will, yeah. Toby is sitting here listening. So today is our day off. So I'm very excited. I want to thank Queen Sonia for coming. Yes. And again, this was such a blessing. I hope your people was able to glean some value from this conversation. I thank you and continue doing great work, Goddess.
Oh, thank you. You too, Goddess. And I will talk to you later, okay?
Yes, thank you. Love you, Queen.
Love you too. Bye.
All right. Bye.